Hi, welcome back to Sharing Spirit. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to share one of my early experiences with Spirit and Spirit communication with you. One of the wonderful features of spiritualism is the openness of interpretation of concepts and ideas for each individual. When I talk about a concept or an idea, I am presenting my interpretation of it. Spiritualism's third principle states, we believe in communication, guidance, and healing from spirit and angels. My strong belief in this principle of spiritualism is very deep. Spirit, in all Spirit's love and wisdom, gave me communication, guidance, and healing from a very young age. I feel everyone has had some form or forms of communication with Spirit and angels at an early age. Unfortunately, I believe many do not remember, or were told it was childish play, or just imaginary. I was very lucky not to have this happen. Both my mother, Ma, and my grandmother, Nanny, believed in spiritualism. My father thought it was humbug, except when it could be useful to him. Pop was kind of flexible that way. Ma and Nanny never pushed their beliefs on any of us. They did encourage open-mindedness and acceptance. We were a fairly good-sized family, balanced with 4 girls and 4 boys. I do believe that all my sisters and brothers had communication, guidance, and healing from Spirit and angels at various times in their lives. But their experiences are their stories to tell. I remember the first time I realized that not all people got the same messages from Spirit and angels. It was a surprise to me. My father's mother, my grandma, passed on Christmas Eve when I was 4. At the time, Nanny lived with us, but Grandma lived with one of my aunts. The day before Christmas Eve, the excitement among my brothers and sisters and I was mounting. We all enjoyed the sharing of this holiday so much. It was hard for our parents to get us to quiet down and into bed that night. Sleep took a while before it overtook us. Normally, as a child, I slept the whole night through. But that night, I woke before the morning light. It was still very dark outside. There were some scurrying noises coming from the backyard. My feet felt cold as they hit the floor, but I still rushed to the dining room window seat and climbed up on it. There was a clear view of the backyard in the moonlight. Several translucent figures were wandering around the backyard. These semi-transparent figures gave me the feeling that they were confused or unsure of where to go. Suddenly, a picture of Grandma jumped into my head. It startled me, but I understood. These spirits and angels had come for Grandma. They were here to guide her to be with the Divine Spirit. But they were at the wrong house. I mouthed the words, "You're at the wrong house," several times. They appeared to hear me. They stopped their wandering and stared at me. Then I imagined a picture in my mind of the house where Grandma lived and sent it to them. They nodded understanding, waved to me, and glided away. These were spirits and angels that had come to guide Grandma to the Divine Spirit. It was comforting. I returned to bed and slept peacefully, knowing Grandma was on her journey. In the morning, Christmas Eve, everyone at home was in a cheery mood. We were putting last-moment touches to decorations and checking lists to make sure everything was ready for the holiday. The phone rang and Ma crossed the living room to answer it. My aunt was calling. Ma listened intently. Then tears began to roll down her cheeks. She squeezed out some comforting words to my aunt and said goodbye. Sniffling, she called to my father, and she and Pop went into the dining room. When they came out, they called us all around. Mom told us that Grandma wouldn't be joining us for Christmas. She would be with the Divine Spirit for Christmas and from now on. Everyone was very upset, but I was confused. I had received a message the night before that Grandma was making her journey. Why didn't everyone else already know? Why was everyone so surprised by this? I bided my time. My mother would have a quiet moment soon, and I would ask her about it. Soon Ma went into the kitchen to make her lunch. I quietly slipped into the kitchen behind her and watched as she busied herself at the counter. After a few minutes, she turned to me and said, "Okay, out with it." Ma was straightforward like that. After a moment's hesitation, it burst out of me, "Ma, why were you surprised at Grandma's passing? The angels and spirit came for her last night, and I helped them find her." Ma paused for a thoughtful moment before she replied. She looked at me with a sad smile and said, "Sometimes messengers and messages are sent only to one person. You were meant to know that Grandma was not making her journey alone, and even though your father won't admit it, it will help him feel better knowing that Grandma did not make her journey alone. You must give him the message." A little later, I gave Pop the message. Pop did seem to feel better. It was the first time I realized that not everyone got the same message from Spirit. Sometimes we receive a message, and it is a gift for us to pass on. As I've said, I feel everyone has had some form or forms of communication with Spirit and angels at an early age. Sometimes we need to look back to remember those communications. Sometimes meditation can help us look back and recall those precious communications and messages. Join me in a guided meditation, Childhood Visits from Spirit, and let's strive to help ourselves recall our early spiritual contacts and messages. Thank you for joining me at Sharing Spirit. Love and light. Namaste.